Whew. Got myself. I'm making a bunch of smash burgers for neighbors tonight, so I need some incredibly thin onion slices that I would just call a fine julienne. Now, a lot of people will use a mandolin because these should be super, super fine. I'm talking like razor thin, not your typical julienne, which is 1/8 of an inch wide. So I'm going to show you how to incredibly thinly, finely do a onion julienne. I have 3 different knives. The first is the Yoshikane. This is their Bunka with the Shirogami white carbon steel core with stainless cladding. The second knife is going to be the Enso SG2 Kiritsuke. This has an SG2 stainless steel core with Damascus cladding. And then I'm going to use the Shun Shiranami Nakiri. This is the dual core series of blades with the VG10 and VG2 alternating layers all throughout. This is a coreless blade, so what you see is what you get. There's a couple things that you need to understand when you're doing such a fine cut. The first is positioning your claw. Everyone's heard about the claw. So with this, you're going to see my thumb is going to be behind my other fingers, and then I'm going to be rubbing and guiding the blade non-stop using my middle finger here. You can do your pointer, sometimes both, but for me, based off of the length of my finger, it's always going to be the middle. I'm going to have a comfortable pinch grip with all of these blades, which gives me the most amount of control. And now here's the part that a lot of people, when it comes to tap chopping, will give you a hard time about, which is missing. So going into the product, but going down and missing. But here's the deal. When you are going super fast with a tap chop and you are moving your fingers back, sometimes your fingers don't move at the exact pace that they need to. I mean, you're human, you're not a machine. So with that, you don't want to be slowing down your tap as you are moving back. So it's okay to miss. Think of, get into a rhythm and have some type of cadence or rhythm to your tap, regardless of whether you're moving or not. You don't want to stop. You just want to keep going. And when you plop the higher side of the onion, which you're going to see, down, and then you go back through, you'll have that pause. But just keep in mind, you want to keep the pace. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if you miss. What matters is getting those fine slices and staying in that groove so you can blast through your onion. Here we go. Now at this point, if I keep going, I'm working with a piece of onion that is higher than it is wide, so it's unstable. All I have to do is push that down. That fell, no big deal. I'm just gonna go through, get a couple of these little pieces, and I am done. And you can see how incredibly thin these pieces are. The first couple you may have seen were a little bit wider because I'm just getting into the groove of finding that onion and working with the curvature, getting my pace going right with my claw hand. It's okay if you've got a couple that aren't all the exact same width. Here we go again with the Yoshikane Bunka. Notice how I started before I even got into the onion? That's another thing. Forgot about it. But when I'm doing a really fine tap like that, I will have my claw out further and I will start tapping before. So by the time I get into it, which I didn't do on that first half, by the time I get into it, I've already kind of found that pace. I love tap chopping like this. Absolutely love it. Going to give this a little wipe down real quick because this does have a carbon steel core. All right, next up is going to be the Shun Shiranami dual core Nakiri. Beautiful. I'm actually going to use more than these 3 knives because why not? The Enso SG2 Kiritsuke. My arm's getting a little bit tired, not gonna lie. Okay, let's grab another Enso. This is the Enso SG2 Ko-Bunka, which is 5 or 5.5 inches long, and it's basically this, which is the Kiritsuke. Also, this, the full-size bunka, but a Ko-Bunka. Whew. Got myself. I knew it was gonna happen eventually, folks. Okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. Do I have a Band-Aid up here? Dang it. All right, well, this is just what happens when you make knife content for a living. Hang tight, hang tight. We're gonna keep going here. All I'm gonna do is get on a glove. Because I have company coming over, we're going to swap some things out to keep it sanitary. So, things happen. That is the first in all the videos. Well, no, that's not true. I cut myself, but not while slicing. I did it like moving knives around once. So, I'm just going to keep this in because it's just part of it. Let's bring in a clean cutting board. Put this down for a little grip. That's dirty. Let's use I'm just on an Enso kick. The Enso HD Chinese cleaver. All right, same process, much heavier, bigger blade, but yeah, let's just see what happens. So the problem here is the glove is gripping my tap chop and slowing me down. What's next? Let's do a Wusthof Classic. Blueberry Wusthof Classic. Cool looking blade. Ooh, see, got a little slippy there because of my grip being all off. So a couple of these are going to be a little bit wider. No big deal. All right, I've got one more to do. Let's go with the Mac MTH80 Mac Mighty Mac Pro, the knife of many names. Okay, so here's the reality of the situation. I do this basically for a living. I have what I would say would be pretty exceptional knife skills. And even with that, and making all this content and prepping, like most of the stuff I do up here, I'm talking about the knives. I'm not even really using them. There's a couple videos that I do. But I am downstairs almost every single night prepping and chopping and slicing and dicing just like this. And I still cut myself. It's been a long time since I filleted off the front of my claw finger. So why did that happen? Going too fast. The other thing for really diving into this, the blade height of this is much shorter than the other knives that I was using. So coming up, I basically lost some of that guardrail, I would say, on the side of the blade. So something to consider is if you are going to do a very quick tap chop like that, maybe it's best to reserve it for a full size knife. Anyway, aside from, leaving this video with my tail between my legs because I cut myself pretty decently too. I hope you learned a couple of things. Actually, here's what's good about this video. You learned what to do and what not to do. I'm Chef Brandon with Cutlery More. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching me fillet off the front of my middle finger. Have an awesome weekend. Or Monday, whatever day of the week you're watching this. All right, I've got to clean up and get a Band-Aid. See ya.